let's get started. Hello everybody and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 163. I am Annie, or also known as Annie Fuchsia. I am a full-time streamer on Twitch and also your weekly Wowhead Weekly host. Weekly Wowhead Weekly host. That's a lot of weeklies. My co-host for tonight and always is the lovely Perculia.
Hey everyone! It's always really fun and doing the show and getting to show what's up to on Wowhead with the Wowhead community. I oversee pretty much everything that goes on Wowhead, from the guides to what goes on the front page with news to how we do features like the talent calc and the flying tool. And it's just always fun to explain to you guys what we have been doing. So as usual, we have a giveaway that Sass is doing in Twitch chat. It is a purple puffer. And you enter by typing an ! raffle into Twitch chat, just one word. And yeah, I think that's about it. Sass is also going, if you're watching this on YouTube, we're going to try to do timestamps this time. I've got a lot of feedback on that, so we're going to see if it helps make it easier to navigate. And I think we can get started on the beta. We ended the show last week, and then like 5 minutes later, there was a beta build. So we have all of that stuff to cover in this show.
Yeah, I remember after the show, I was like, wait, I'm reading all these updates, but now I'm in bed. I can't announce them, but I guess I can read them.
Yeah.
I saw someone else asking about the giveaway, if the winners have been drawn. They have indeed been drawn. We were going to mention them at the end of the show, but we might as well mention them now as well.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, in case someone is here and they're very curious. The 5 winners are, or the Twitter names of the 5 winners are Dylan Carey, Revisioned, Mio Troxa, Lichlings, and Erisike EU. I'm really sorry if I'm saying their names wrong. I will tweet out the winner names after the show as well. So we got the 5 winners as we had promised from before. If you're wondering what giveaway we're talking about, we had a giveaway that we mentioned at the end of last show, which consisted of people sending in the screenshot of their favorite mount and using the correct hashtags, and then we picked the 5 winners. So that's it.
Yep.
We'll mention them again at the end of the show and then also tweet them.
I don't know if you saw during that, but Brightpaw is back on the desk and he's like pulling the headset out of my ear.
Oh god.
So fine now, but
Brightpaw's like, hey, that's my red cable, not yours.
Yeah, he's like, my beta key as well.
Oh, so that's what it's about.
Yep. The cat wants to be in the beta. Because there's that crazy cat lady house. He wants to be there.
Of course. There's no other way for him to reach her. But yeah, let's go on to the beta build.
So, yeah. So first we have... Right, Paul, why is the mouse in the way? First we have a few new models, as usual, to highlight. This time, to start off with, we have my cat not letting me scroll. But we have Jaina with an anchor necklace.
Yep. So as you can see in this picture, we've got the Jaina model updated, wearing the Kultiros anchor necklace. Was Jaina wearing anything else before?
No, there were just the versions of her with the cape and then with the hood up and the hood down. So this anchor is new, and, you know, it reflects her Kultiron heritage. And we just got the comic last week that was talking about, like, how she was trying to reconnect with, you know, the Proudmoors and her nation and, you know, reflect her family. So that's a fitting update. I think it's a good update.
Yeah, I really like it, because it really shows how there's... give me 1 second. I can hear my own alerts in the background.
Oh no, it's not your day with technology today.
It really isn't. Just give me 1 second.
Alright. Brightpaw, go do something cute. Come on, Brightpaw. Come on. Come on, Brightpaw.
I think this should fix it. Alright. We should be back now.
Cool.
Alright. So, where were we? We were talking about Jaina.
Anchor. Yeah.
Yes, the anchor. Oh yeah, I was saying that it's really nice to see her with the necklace because it shows that there's been some, progression in a good way with the relationships since it started off really bad. The first things that we heard about Kultiris was Jaina being exiled, and I think having that kind of sign of relation is really nice to see. It's a nice update.
Yeah, it's also interesting if this is reflecting maybe when relations are better, how it's more subtle compared to the Zandalari with the gold that's very flashy. So it's nice to see that, oh, this is not about wearing, a fancy crown on your head. It's more understated.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's not like showing off riches. It's just a nice symbol.
Yep. We also got some updated fire elemental models. Last week we got earth elemental models. They kind of look like buff Voidwalkers. Maybe they'll get more updates, but yeah, updated fire elementals for now. And then we also saw these really cute alpaca. They're very cute creatures. Maybe Brightpaw feels threatened by how cute they are because he's grabbing onto my hand and eating it. But they're super cute. You can check them out in the model viewer. They're very fluffy. They are in the capital cities. You can't get them from other expansions though, but the traders representing other expansions have these alpacas next to them. So maybe we could get them in the future as playable pets or mounts. I know everyone is really hype over them.
Mm-hmm. It's they also remind me of like llamas, which is very very popular now in Fortnite as well. So it's like we're finding llamas everywhere, even in WoW. And the alpaca also comes in other colors.
Yep, 6 colors total.
Mm-hmm.
I swear I need a cat cam because he's doing stuff just right off the camera. I'm just thinking of Brightpaw antics of him just being ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And
someone asked about the fire elemental, if that's what the shamans would be using. Do you know?
Think so. We think eventually, because the Earth 1 data mine is now used on a ton of elementals, including the Earth elemental from Molten Core.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They might even use this model for Voidwalker.
Oh yeah, they could, although I think Voidwalkers have their own... I mean, they kind of look like recolored Voidwalkers right now, which is a little strange.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe... I don't know, like if you get green fire, you can have a green Voidwalker. I'm not sure there. But yeah, they don't really scream like fire, they scream recolored Voidwalker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess we'll see what they're gonna be used for.
Yeah. And then the final model is we have a new Dark Iron Dwarf weapon. We don't know if players can get this weapon or if like an NPC in a scenario will be using it. But we've had quite a few Dark Iron themed weapons and people really like them. So yay, more weapons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like all the themes to do with Dark Iron Dwarfs. They have a sort of, the anvil feel to them and like the fiery details in them. I really like it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure paladins and maybe warriors are gonna be really happy about these models.
Yep.
They look really cool.
So moving on to achievements, we had 2 pretty different types of achievements added this past build. Some were about Mythic Plus and some were about battle pets.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting ones with the Mythic Plus season, we have Mythic Plus seasons now. So it'll be like Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. Mm-hmm. There are feats of strength to complete all Mythic dungeons at level 15 or higher during the first Mythic Keystone season. So that's pretty exciting that, a Mythic Plus is getting seasons similar to Arena getting seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
And then you can reset the times and leaderboards, and then people start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's cool. And then we have the really cool battle pet achievements. So there is a laser pointer toy for doing 20 pet battle world quest. And then you get the cute toy, which cats love laser pointers. There is an achievement called Let's Be Friends, which rewards a bumblebee pet. Mm-hmm. And one of the King's Rest Mythic Dungeon achievements, How to Keep a Mummy, rewards a little mummy battle pet.
And these are models that we have shown in the past as well. But if you wanna recap on the models, then they're gonna all be available in the article. But yeah, speaking of the Mythic Plus thing, I think it's really cool that the seasons are being introduced, because for someone like me, I kind of, once I had all the achievements, once I had, you know, enough gear for the weekly Mythic chest to not be that important, I kind of lost interest in Mythic Plus. I haven't actually done one for a long time. And I think having these seasons gives more incentives and more reason to actually do them. And if they can also have pretty cool rewards, I think that would make it even more interesting as well. I think seasons have been hinted for a while, but now they're actually confirmed in achievements as well. So so basically the way it looks like, it's you have the Keystone, I think it's called Keystone Master, which is to complete the plus 15, and now they have one specifically for season 1. So it's like Keystone Master and season 1. So then that, you know, that means that we will probably get one for season 2 and etc. for other seasons as well.
Yeah. Also, the community, you said, oh, they were hinting at seasons. I feel the community unofficially has been working towards seasons and grouping things as seasons and resetting the leaderboard. And there was a lot of discussion if at the start of 732 it should be a separate season. So it will be nice for Blizzard to do something official and, you know, maybe help add leaderboards or other rewards or other things that can make it feel like more of a big deal and not just, oh, it's the new patch, I guess it's a new season. We don't usually touch on all the spec changes in the show for class data mining, although we do update our guides every week. But we wanted to highlight a change that would affect a lot of people. Threat generation has been nerfed for tanks in battle for Azeroth. The situations where you may notice it more is on holding aggro on secondary mobs when only using passive AoE. So you have to do more things like taunts and keep more of an eye on secondary mobs. But, you know, your main mob should still hold aggro fine against a DPS, but you may need to look at secondary mobs in an AoE situation.
I find this really interesting because I feel like threat has become so insignificant for such a long time, and I don't think this will take us back to how it used to be. But I think it's so interesting that the topic is still touched. I don't play a tank myself, but talking to tank friends, I've gotten the impression that this won't really make that big of a difference, but it will make sure that, you know, people do start using some of the buttons that they have instead of, you know, just auto-attacking and that being enough. So I think that's a great change then.
Yeah, and when you said, oh, it feels like threat hasn't been a big thing for a while, when we were researching the article, as a baseline, we learned that tanks generate 10 times more threat than DPS, but artifacts do really weird things to threat, and with an artifact equipped, the tank can generate between 14 and 20 times more threat than DPS.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's like, wow, like going from 20 to 4 feels like a big deal. And the artifacts sort of made like threat more.
That's good. Then it's a bigger deal. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I thought it was a base just like, you know, going from 10 to 4, but from possibly 20 to 4. That's great. I think that's good. I think it'll make, you know, tanking a lot more interesting for tanks as well. So not just like attack with one ability and then you're just sitting there AFK. You actually have to use some of your abilities. And I think for if you're targeting a specific mob, it shouldn't affect you too much, but it will affect you in the AoE situations where, you know, one mob may like fly away to someone else because you have a high DPS character who decided to DPS that instead of the target that you're tanking or whatever. So, you know, it leads to a little bit more communication in the group and the tank having to use their taunt ability, and I think it's good.
Yeah, and just for comparison, there is the skittish affix in Mythic Plus, and that reduces threat by 75%.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
So, yeah, so if you are a tank that was at the 20 times more threat, like using Thrash, you will have an 80% threat reduction. So, you know, picture how skittish feels, and that maybe is what it feels in BFA.
What if skittish is still what's it called?
An affix. Yeah.
Yeah. What if it's still gonna be an affix later?
Oh wow, that could be interesting.
Yeah, because then there's like reduced threat and affix. That would be crazy. Yep.
Let me see, is it still around? I know they added this infested affix where it spawns something with Gahoon. Let's see. Yeah, they haven't. Yeah, I think it's WoW. I think it might be staying the same. So
Okay.
that'll be a fun week if it stays. They haven't really done a ton of Mythic Plus testing, so maybe they'll readjust things after that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and that would be an
It's
interesting
gonna be a
combination to see.
nightmare for healers. Poor healers being blamed for everyone dying. I feel for you, healers. I'm not a healer myself. I
Yeah.
just
There's also a tank.
compassionate.
There's a cloak enchant, and
Yes.
Precious have these utility perks in BFA, and people are like, well, why is there this cloak enchant that reduces threat? That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
weird. Taylor's threat isn't a big deal, and now it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, this actually might be really cool.
Yeah, I remember when we talked about it and we were saying like, that's interesting. Maybe that means threat will be a bigger deal in the next
Yeah,
expansion and
there we
shows that
go.
it might actually be a bigger deal. I guess
Yeah,
I guess we'll see how big of a deal it is once the expansion is actually here.
yeah. Another class thing we wanted to highlight is the new Azerite trait interface.
Mm-hmm.
We
Oh,
were
this is
being
really
asked about
cool.
this last week. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very pretty. It's like glowy and
Mm-hmm.
shiny.
It's
Yeah.
funny because last week, I remember saying as a small comment at the end, like, I bet the reason why it's looking so boring and everything is because they want to not show us yet until it's done. And once it's done and they show us, we're gonna be like, whoa. And that's how I felt. Like, straight after the show, I saw the tweet from Wowhead that explained that it was out, and I was like, whoa, that actually looks so cool. Let's see if I can. I'm like too excited, so I forgot where it is. Here it is. I think it's here. Yes. Okay. This is it. It looks so cool. I know a lot
Yeah,
of
it
people
makes
were
you feel
worried.
really special, like it's a big deal that you've chosen a trait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. I know, like, I remember the pyramid form that looked so boring, and people were concerned, like, oh, but that looks so boring. But now I think it looks great. Another thing about these is that different types of gear, I think if it's higher quality gear, it
Yeah,
shows more options or like more rings that can be filled
yeah.
up.
So leveling gear has 3 rings, while heroic dungeon gear has 4 rings.
So this is an example of a 3-ring one, and this is an example of a 4-ring one.
Yeah.
And for perspective, if you want to be reminded of what what Blizzard announced at BlizzCon, this is how it used to look like. So you can see that they've definitely gone somewhere since after that, but it's still the same idea of using a circle.
Yeah. We also, speaking of pretty things, we have some interesting loading screens and maps to share. The loading screens were super popular on Twitter. We are going to be showing you the loading screens for if you're outdoors in Kulturas or Zandalar.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got Jaina, we've got Talanji, we've got some evil roost person, and we've got some dinosaurs and snake people.
Mm-hmm. Snake people.
Yeah. So I think that these are cool. There's a few loading screens to go, but I think that these look pretty interesting for now. And again, it's really interesting when you look at then you look at the map in the background. What are the landmarks that are highlighted? So you have this like kind of corrupt looking tree on Kulturas and a city in Drustvar, and then you have something in, I think that's, oh yeah, then you have Uldir showing up in the Zandalar map, so it just hints that those are important places, especially because people always think Drustvar is kind of sleepy. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, they've got 2 landmarks there. What could that be?
Yeah, I think it's always very interesting where the landmarks end up in these situations.
Yeah. And you can see in the art that Jaina has her anchor necklace on
Mm-hmm.
in that picture as well.
Yep. I see a lot of people commenting the Azerite UI.
Yeah.
I think we mainly just looked at the Azerite UI update, so that's why I was mostly commenting on that. It's not the case that the UI is more important than the function. Have we had any
Yeah.
updates on the function itself?
No, we just keep like data mining little traits here and there, but you can't actually buy raid gear with Azerite and test it out.
But I mean, basically, we don't know yet. Not much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think it was a recent development that the higher tier armor had more rows to it. So it still seems very much like a work in progress.
Yeah. But at least the UI is updated, so you know it's moving somewhere.
There's no character copy yet. There's no like automatic max level templates, and I feel like when that's added, then it will be easier to test Azerite at the end game levels.
Is it normal to be this late into the beta and still not have character copies?
It does seem kind of strange. Especially that there's raid testing going on, and now they obviously have to test Mythic Plus for it to be good, because it would be strange if, you know, we're taking it more seriously, but we're not going to test any of this, and like it's hard to test PvP at max level. So it does seem like they need to do some max level testing with serious Azerite feedback as well.
Hopefully that will come soon. I think with the UI update, it puts a lot more focus on the Azerite, so I'm hoping that because of that, it'll put a bit more attention on it so that we can have some more updates.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the loading screen updates that we saw. We also had a screenshot of the Gorgrond map that you can see here from the Gorgrond scenario. And we have a picture of Gorgrond from Warlords of Draenor, where you can compare the two and see how it is slightly different. One major difference is how the old, one sec here, how the old one has a bit more green to it than the new one does.
Yeah, another interesting thing is how what's labeled on the map.
So, oh yeah, the labels have changed too.
Yeah, so not everything has the same label, and the parts talking about the forest and the Everreach, all of that is removed, and that area is really not that green anymore.
So this is the later version, and this is the WOD version.
Yeah.
I think it's always interesting comparing maps.
Yeah.
You see what kind of effect it has to the world and what's happening.
Yeah, and you know, we've learned that maybe history is repeating itself in Draenor, and you know, there's a reason why stuff is dying. So it's kind of sad, like, oh, you know, the same thing still happened.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think that's about it for the art assets. There's a lot of horse icons. I don't know what to make of that. We're getting a lot of horse mounts, but nothing really fun to show there. Nothing really exciting as far as maps. We did get some Warfront stuff, though. Pardon my arm. Bright Paw is...
Yeah, so for Warfronts, I believe we mentioned some of these before, but it'll be a nice refreshment and maybe new for some of you guys. We have new mounts as Warfront rewards. For example, we have the Albino Raptor, which is going to be available for both factions.
So cool, Alliance Raptor. That's
a Raptor for Alliance, and I think it looks amazing.
Yeah, I know some people are like, oh, this looks very similar to the Horde one, but I'm okay with this as an Alliance one. I mean, the Horde are getting some horses as well, and those might be boring to Alliance, but it's new for the Horde, so I'm fine with these cross-faction things. There's also Skull Ripper, who is a clever girl, another raptor dinosaur-like mount. And there is the Witherbark Direwing. This is a Horde-only mount. It's a bat. There is the Little Donkey, who is a Horde-only horse. And we've rescued the donkey from being eaten by kobolds.
Oh, is that how we get it?
Likely stolen from Newstead in the Arathi Highlands, the stalwart little donkey was destined to be eaten by kobolds.
Oh, okay.
And then we highlighted the Broken Highland Mustang and the Highland Mustang before. These are just horses with different banners on them, so both Alliance and Horde have horse options. So now the Horde get 2 horses from this, and the Alliance get 2 raptors from this.
Yep. We also have some other interesting items.
Yeah.
We have we have new pet items. For example, Let me get the red items up on the screen.
Yep.
Here. Imaginary gun. This actually sounds really sweet. So imaginary gun, what it says is shoot an imaginary gun at your companion pet, causing it to play dead for 10 seconds. That's actually adorable. Yeah. Imagine if you're a hunter as well. So you do this, you shoot your pet, he acts dead, or it or she acts dead, and then you just feign death yourself.
Yeah.
It's actually adorable. I think it's really cute.
There's also the tiny mechanical mouse, which drops a tiny robot mouse for your companion pet to chase around for 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously something that all cats love. Mm-hmm. Brightpaw loves his mouse toy. Brightpaw, move the... Good. I can have my headset back. And then, as we mentioned, there's the laser pointer. But there are also fun transmog items. There is the glazer, which is a stick of honey, and it matches all of these bee mounts and pets and polymorph perfectly.
Mm-hmm. So the model for this mace was found before, but now we know what exactly it is and what it's called, and the name is Glazer.
Yeah, and we know that people can actually acquire and equip this. It's not some NPC-only item.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Yes, it could have also been NPC-only, so now we know it's not. So that's cool. Yeah. Which is nice matching with the new bee mount and the new bee pet.
Yeah. In addition to... did you want to highlight the Island Expedition mount quickly, and then I'll discuss some of the fun food stuff?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Let's go for that. This is the mount, a new mount for the Islands Expedition. It is, you guys might recognize it as a recolor of the Mists of Pandaria Collector's Edition.
Yeah, so a lot of people have thoughts on this because in Warlords of Draenor there was a mount added for Apexis crystals and gold that was a recolor of the Dreadraven, and a lot of people were kind of okay with that, but I've seen more complaining about this one, how, there's this mount, and it was the only model, and now there are other models, so, I think it's interesting how there's a lot of recolors of old models being reused for, like, the Reputation mount, or the 400 mount. Stuff that was kind of common is now being reused as some sort of rare reward. So it's interesting how what Blizzard is doing. They're not having like the new art for the 100 Reputation or new art for the islands. Like it's almost as if they're purposely trying to, just use up all the art assets they've abandoned for years.
Yeah, I think this mount is, in a way, I think it looks better. I think I like the colors better. But in general, I'm not a huge fan of this mount model. But,
yeah.
As a mount collector, it's all about catching them all. So I'm obviously going to have to go for this one as well.
Yeah, just to note, this took the place of the Jade Serpent we posted last time. I don't know if that was too similar to Gladiator mounts or if they wanted to go with the ground mount instead. But
wait, so the other one is gone?
Yeah, they seem to be moving it over, so.
Okay.
So yeah, so that got a change. And then
so that means we can't get that green mount.
No, that's just, it's gone, I guess.
Aw, I would have preferred that green one with the armor.
Yeah, I don't know if they thought maybe, like, this reflected the Mogu threat more, like the Mogu work with the Zandalari. I'm not sure why they changed it, or maybe they wanted more ground mounts to balance out flying mounts, or maybe it looked really similar to the Gladiator Cloud Serpents, and that's meant to be unique, but then one of the Drakes looks like a Gladiator mount. I'm not exactly sure there. But I think they're still adding a lot of Islands rewards, so maybe we will get more in the future. We can see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I also wanted to highlight some fun food and drink. There are some achievements like 3 Sheets to the Wind, which make you sample a lot of funny sounding drinks. And the most interesting thing, though, is a sausage, which is called Heartsbane Hexwurst. And the effect is if you spend at least 10 seconds eating, you will transform into a pig-headed beast man. So you know what that means? It means that really creepy model from a few weeks ago, you're going to turn into that when you eat that sausage.
So, yeah, we were wondering, like, what is this? Is this going to be something that we kill? Is it going to be a boss somewhere? Nope. It's going to be you. It's gonna be you. It's gonna be me. It's gonna be everyone.
Yep.
It's gonna be one of us. Oh,
he just knocked over a glass of water. Oh, honey, don't.
Is everything okay?
Well, I don't have any more water now. Fortunately, in part of my desk is so right. Aw, why did you do that?
I would send some over if I could.
Yeah.
So imagine that, like, hey, Perk, I'm getting water right here. Just grab it.
So I have a napkin on some of it, but he's looking up the other part, and he can do that, I guess, and stay out of harm's way. If I'm thirsty, I'll go up to get some more water.
All right.
But okay, so that's it for about fun new items. We may have an update on the fun food maybe tomorrow. There's like a fun little hidden secret achievement thing that we're trying to have a fun post about. But yep, lots of fun food and drink, terrifying pigs, honey weapon, new toys, good stuff like that. Yeah, we're on to the story part of the show.
Yeah. We're on to the Magni comic. As you guys might remember, we were talking about the Jaina comic last week. This is a series of 3 comics. Do they have a name? Like, what are they a part of?
They're just the World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth number 1, 2, 3.
All right. Yeah. So number 1 from last week was Jaina, who is Alliance. And this week we have Magni, which, could point towards maybe a Horde character for next week. Is it going to be weekly for sure?
We don't know. In the preview a few days ago, they said that this comic was launching today, but it launched yesterday, so
okay.
I have no idea when stuff is coming.
All right. Well, as soon as the next one is, we will definitely cover it, and we are suspecting that it's going to be a Horde character, but we will see. But yeah, this Magni comic was very interesting. We are following Magni and seeing his difficulties in communicating with Azeroth after the sword pierced Azeroth, and we're also seeing how his thought process is affected and can kind of be, used as a parallel to his own life difficulties with Mora. And we have some pictures to share with you guys as well. I'll start with the front page of it, which I think looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I really like this art, the art style in these comics. Yeah, so we have a few different things that happened in this comic. Do we put up the spoiler? No, we don't need a spoiler for this, do we?
No, I mean this is what Blizzard has posted everywhere, so I think this is fine. The cutscenes, the next part of the show, maybe we need a spoiler, but I think this is fine.
So we can see in one of the pages here, for example, where Magni is reminded of when he lost his wife and how the last thing his wife was telling him was how he needs to take care of Moira, and it's actually kind of sad to see this. I think the whole comic actually gave very sad feelings in a way. And it sort of portrays the kind of struggles that he's going through inside, and it's in the end, as we'll see, it's kind of what actually gives him the strength to try and do something about what is happening with Azeroth.
Yeah, it's shown that while he cares about his wife and Mora, he's a bit overprotective of them, and Mora interpreted that as him not valuing her, and that's why she was so keen to make the most of the Dark Iron situation and, enjoyed being there and, married the, Dark Iron King. And part of the other comic has Magni saying, like, where did I go wrong? And Murden's like, you just are protective. You don't let them grow and breathe. If you can't control something, you don't know what to do. You just sort of panic when they need their help the most. So it's really sad, and maybe he's taking these lessons and saying, okay, at first he's frustrated that Azeroth is in pain, so she can't tell him what to do. And hopefully he's realizing through this comic that when someone is in pain and struggling, you listen and you are patient and you realize that they can't tell you how to help. So you just try to, be supportive and not criticize and judge. So I don't know if this means that he's given up on his family or if he's taken the knowledge from his, past life when he wasn't a diamond, and he's applying this moving forward, and maybe we'll see more interactions with Moira, because in the comic fault lines from Legion, he told her he was very proud of her, and then she started to cry, so I don't know if we'll get more interactions with them or not, but, yeah, he's definitely trying to learn from his mistakes, and, not be upset at Azeroth for just screaming and not giving him detailed instructions on what to do.
And the picture that I'm showing right now is showing his thoughts of his frustration of why he's not able to hear Azeroth speaking, and he's wondering what to do, and he's just, very, I guess, confused in a way. Like, he doesn't really know how to handle it. Just like he didn't really know how to handle his complications with his family as well. And yeah, what we see there at the end of the comic is that he's kind of realizing, all right, you know what? I'm gonna be there for you, and I'm gonna do it. In one way or another, I will find a way to understand you, Azeroth, even if right now all I can hear is you screaming in pain.
Another thing I thought was interesting was the coloration used for the comic. There's a lot of red lighting or red sands or like red hair contrasted with Magni as a diamond, or the blues, what Moira is wearing, and it just sort of subtly drives this, like, he's neutral theme. He's now helping both the Alliance and the Horde. He's not taking sides. Like the Jaina comic was very like blue and silver, and this was more blue and red. So I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. So maybe for the next comic, we can expect a lot more red.
Yeah, like, I mean, whether if it's Sylvanas or something with the Zandalari trolls, I could see like a lot more red. But yeah, I don't know who the character would be. I mean, it's interesting to speculate because, like, if there was faction leaders, like, Anduin would have been the focus of the comic, but it's not. It's Jaina showing Kultura, so maybe we'll get something with Talanji showing the Zandalari versus Sylvanas.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. So we should put the spoiler tag up now, because we've got some cutscenes from Zuldazar that we wanted to share.
I actually have them here to play for you guys. I'm gonna also make sure that the spoiler tag is on this page as well, because sometimes that has also confused people, because we have the spoiler tag on this scene, but we don't normally have it on where the video is. But this time I'll make sure it's there as well. All right, let's check it out.
Yeah.
No, Habutu. Traitor, seize her! You should have listened to Talanji. You have grown stagnant, old friend. You let our kingdom rot and decay. But I have foreseen the Troll Empire rising again. No more treaties with outsiders. No more bargains with Loa. Blood is our path now. The path of Gahoon!
Should we go after them?
No. In time, they will come to us.
All right. So that was the first video that we had here. Should we play both of them before we talk about them?
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand of, first Rastakan is like... first we see them being carried away, and then just like, they'll return. So this is the return you'll see now.
All right. And yes, these cutscenes are not final, so it might seem a little bit awkward because a lot of these sound effects are not there. They do have voices though, so that's quite nice. I think voices do make a lot of the cutscenes. So
right.
Your visions had best be right about this.
Heretic! You trespass upon sacred ground.
Ah, he arrives. The lower of What do we call you now?
Mind your tongue, traitor.
Razan. Do you not understand? I am not your subject. And you have no place among kings. The time of the Loa is done. The hour of blood approaches.
All right.
So.
That was both of them.
Yeah. So the first cutscene is about halfway through questing in Zuldazar. Obviously, Zul is leading a coup against King Rastakhan, who is growing old and is maybe not making the best decisions or is leaning too much on advisors. And you can see that some of his bodyguards are hurt and was probably missing some special effects. Rastakhan is obviously grievously wounded as well. We can see that more members of Zul's council have sided with him instead of the king. And, Zul, he says, blood is our path now, path of Gahun, and Gahun is the final boss in the raid Uldir. Zul, we've learned, also is in league with Queen Ashara, and he was also behind, Missa Pandaria, the Throne of Thunder, as well as the actions that made the Zandalari, our enemies in Cataclysm. And it's very interesting. He always sees the future, and it's interesting when he says, no, let's not go after them because they will come back to us. And it's true, he had it all perfectly planned, so Razan falls into this blood trap, then is killed, and then serves Zul. And we know that's a huge blow to the Empire because we always see Talanji, calling upon Razan, to help them escape from the Alliance, or to help them with their navy, or to give them guidance. And now it's like they relied too much on that Loa, and he has been killed, which is obviously a huge offense in Zandalari society, but Zul is trying to make his own society and thinks that this is okay to serve his ends.
So what is this gonna mean? Like, you think Razan is now gone for good? Or what was that in the end that we saw? We saw the dinosaur come out as what was that? Some kind of skeleton?
It's an undead dinosaur that serves Zul, and we later have to kill Razan in the dungeon Atal Dazar. Because Zul's plan is to now use the blood of the fallen Loa and start resurrecting the dead Zandalari kings. And then he wants to use them for their power. So, he killed the Loa, now he wants to kill the kings, and in Ataldazar and King's Rest, we are trying to prevent that from happening.
All right.
And that's why we can't have Zandalari paladins. There's a little encampment in the town, and at first they're like, we follow the light, we're the, prelates of Razan, like, we're paladins. And then after this happens, they're like, we have no power. Razan, if we had any, he's corrupted by Zul, so... like, we have no purpose anymore, so that sort of puts a damper on the paladin speculation.
On the paladin dream.
Yep.
No paladins for Zandalars.
Nope. Or they could
or
say,
no,
hey,
not for now. Yeah.
Maybe when Zul is out of the picture, they can magically be paladins again. Who knows?
Yeah, it was really sad to see how Razan went down.
I know, even though it looked a little derpy with how it didn't have
no
music,
sound.
It still looked really sad.
I was just trying to imagine the roaring and like the pain in my head because I couldn't hear anything. It was like, because when they were speaking, it was like, powerful voices, and then suddenly like silence. Like, okay. All right, yep, I can imagine some roaring happening right now. But yeah, it was still pretty sad. How because you could see all the effects of the red beams and everything. It was pretty awful.
For this next part, we're covering the war campaign. Some of it is not spoilers, but some of it is spoilers, so I don't know if we want to take the tag off for a few minutes. and then put it back on.
Yeah, I think for the first things
Okay.
there, we don't need the spoiler
Okay.
tag.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first things we wanted to mention are 2 achievements which have been updated. So one of them is the Pathfinder, which we actually mentioned last week. So the updated version is this. What we can see is that the war campaign is now actually a requirement to get Pathfinder Part 1. This was not the case before, and it's now been added, which is pretty interesting. It means that you have to, play a bit more of the game and understand a bit more of what's going on to, be granted the ability to fly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we clarified this last week, but if you are curious, the achievement picture is bugged. You do not need to do both Alliance and Orc, you just need to do one faction's war campaign and related quests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for now it's showing both factions, but it will not be the case once this is live. This has been confirmed in a Warcraft tweet, so it's 100% safe.
Yep.
We also noticed that the war campaign has been added for the allied race unlocks for, was it Dark Iron and Magar?
Yep. So for the Dark Iron, you need Exalted with 7th Legion, and then the War Campaign on the Alliance side. And then for the Orcs, you need the equivalent faction, which is the Honor Bound, and then the War Campaign on the Horde side.
Mm-hmm. So I think this puts more focus on War Campaign actually being a pretty central part of the expansion, especially at the beginning, because it does explain a lot of the lore of what's happening, and gameplay-wise, it's mainly a quest line, right?
Yeah, it's a long quest line. There are some gated parts. So, for example, you have to hit Honored, with 7th Legion at one point, or Revered to progress to another point. And some dungeon unlocks require, I think, you to complete Part 5 as well. So, it's probably going to be like a staggered thing. Yeah. Probably like Insurrection, so you can't unlock Dark Iron Dwarfs, week 1 of the expansion. You can't grind this out all at once. But yeah, it seems to be a pretty central part, and what's also interesting is that as you're questing on your continent, you might feel compelled to keep War Mode on for that sweet 15% experience bonus, but then you might say, oh, I don't want to turn it off when I go to the enemy continent because it's so nice having these talents and experience.
Oh, yeah.
So you could sort of be getting your feet wet in some world PvP if you, keep this on and then you go to the enemy continent to do some questing. So I think we should put the spoiler tag up because we've been talking about this campaign, but we should actually cover what happens in the campaign.
So what has happened is that the finales of both Horde and Alliance has now been revealed. We talked about the early stages before, right? I'm sure we mentioned some of it.
Yeah, we talked about the early stages, and we speculated on some broadcast text that could be related, so now we can actually see if we were right and, what the big reveal is. So we have 6 videos for each side if you want to see the full playthrough. We're not going to show any videos here because we have detailed write-ups on and videos of every single thing. But basically the TLDR is for the Horde side. The Horde befriend a Tide Sage, and he agrees that he will help them if they turn him into a Forsaken upon death. And the Tide Sage helps locate the bodies of some war heroes, including Derek Proudmoore, the deceased brother of Jaina. And they use these corpses, they try reanimating some, and they use the corpses to distract the Alliance in Borealis, and then they make off with the Abyssal Scepter, an artifact that grants power over the sea. And it ends with the Horde setting some of the the Proudmoore fleet on fire. And we also learn a bit more about Lillian Voss and how she views the Forsaken and trying to help new members that are now Forsaken. And a lot of people are surprised that Lillian is serving the Horde, and especially Sylvanas. And they added a special rogue-only dialogue option talking about how she is still loyal to the Uncrowned, which is a group of rogues that fights against, powers and the monarchy. So that's very interesting. Maybe she is a double agent.
Yeah. And she was also pretty, she was against the Forsaken before.
Yeah, she was turned into one against her will, and
Yeah.
then she focused on defeating the Scarlet Crusade, but she wasn't really pro-Forsaken. She was sort of this, lone wolf that just wanted to take down this hateful organization that she grew up in.
It'll be really interesting to see how her character unfolds.
Yeah.
And
then
speaking of last week, sorry, did you want to say something?
No, go ahead. I'm good. The cat was distracting me.
Speaking of last week, what we covered with this was the Tide Sage. We actually went into a little bit more details on him. I forgot his name. Was it Michael something? No, Thomas?
Thomas Zelling.
Thomas Zelling, that's it. We went into details of what happened to him when he turned into Forsaken. Do you guys remember how he went back to his family and they didn't recognize him? They called him a monster. So just as a little reference to you guys to be reminded of what we actually went through last week. So it's to give you a little bit of a red thread. So we talked about him last week, and now we have the final step of what happened. They used him to get the location of Derek Proudmoore, and then they used the bodies to be able to distract the Alliance, and then they found the Tide Sage artifact.
Right, and now they have power over the sea, so that, enhances their navy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because this whole thing in Battle for Azeroth started where the Alliance had to reach out to Kulturas because they were worried about the threat of the Zandalari navy for the Horde, and now the navy appears to have gotten stronger.
Yep.
So, on the Alliance side, I like the Alliance side because you get to see a lot of races interacting, while the Horde side feels very much like Forsaken. So to catch you up to speed, Chandris Feathermoon was working with John J. Keeshan to take down the threat of the Blood Prince, who was another type of elf, a vampire elf that was trying to help Sylvanas, and we saw some of them in Icecrown Citadel. Basically what happens is that the Void Elves, we try to take the Blood Prince down. We're unsuccessful, but we defeat some of his assistants. We also lose some of our own soldiers. We then try to take down Gallywix, led by the Void Elves, but he's made decoys of himself, so we kill the wrong Gallywix.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And we finally managed to kill Blood Prince Drevin, who was the Sand Lion.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to say it either.
Emissary working with Sylvanas. Mm-hmm. And then we are able to launch a strike in Zuldazar. We plant some explosives around Zuldazar, and then we notice a Mogu ship is coming in, which is an ally of the Zandalar, and we destroy the boat and capture the captain. So it does end with a success for the Alliance, but the Horde still seem a bit more powerful if it's, the Horde has actually gotten into Borealis and stolen an artifact, and they can still, do stuff with this artifact.
Yeah, but it feels like the Horde was more the kind of the bigger victor in this.
Yeah.
Is that a word, victor?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah, it feels like the Horde basically kind of defeat the Alliance in a way by, distracting them and stealing something that was in their city. We did, as Alliance, defeat Blood Prince Drevin, but he wasn't really Horde, was he?
He was helping the Horde, but I mean, we didn't really take some magical artifact from him. We just removed a threat.
Yeah, we removed a threat. So I guess that's something. They didn't really remove a big threat specifically, but they did get a very valuable artifact. So I guess we'll see what that's going to lead to.
Yeah. Also keep in mind that there is that data mined raid, that there's the attack on Zuldazar. So this could lead to maybe the Horde have smaller victories, more frequent earlier on, and then the Alliance, actually outright attack Zuldazar, because we know the Horde attacks Borealis in a dungeon, but obviously the raid being attacked is would be a bigger deal. But yeah, I mean, this certainly led to a lot of discussion in the comments about which side was more honorable and which side was more successful, and I think that's Blizzard's point.
Yeah. I think so too. I think that's what makes it interesting, that the stories are very different, so it's hard to say who is the most successful actually. But I think both stories are pretty good.
Yeah, and it's interesting how they both seem very different at first, but then they sort of combine together in the 5th and 6th chapters. Like, for example, in the 5th chapter, we retrieve Derek Proudmoore, and then we come back, and Thanos is like, "Oh, I'm so glad you retrieved him. By the way, the Alliance, like, killed the Blood Prince."
Yeah.
And then on the Alliance, we're like, "Oh, well, so as we're celebrating killing the Blood Prince, the Horde were doing this, thing, which is pretty significant." So I think that's interesting. Also, when you consider how in interviews Blizzard has says they have like different quest teams working on different factions and they meet to sync up, I think that they've done a good job syncing up with this war campaign.
Yep. Moving on, we have
Still
some...
spoilers.
Yep, still spoilers, keeping the sign up.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got some more or new information gathered from broadcast texts regarding the Allied races, Dark Iron Dwarf, and the Magyar Orcs.
Right. So we previously learned that the goblins are attacking the Dark Iron Dwarves, the dwarves are trying to mine Azerite, and the goblins do something where they steal Iron Foe and also damage the Black Anvil. What we learned now is that we are trying to fix the Black Anvil and we need a piece of the Molten Core. So first we go to the Molten Core, we get this piece, and then we go to the Firelands to purify it, and then stuff goes really poorly.
To say the least.
Yeah. We've learned that there's always been unrest between the Dark Iron Dwarves after... with everything, with all the turmoil, how they served Ragnaros and they were trying to be independent. Not all of them follow Mora, and a group that does not follow her believes that Ragnaros is the rightful leader, and he decided to, this group wants to bring Ragnaros back, and they're going to serve Ragnaros in all ways. And this obviously does not go well. We have to defeat the people trying to raise Ragnaros so we can get back, they're blocking our path. We do so, we get the fragment of the Molten Core, but it's, it's disturbing that some of the Dark Irons are not following Mora, and in the past when people tried to summon Ragnaros, that went really poorly for them. Ragnaros was unhappy and, enslaves people and spits fire everywhere. So, not everything is united for the Dark Iron Dwarves, and there could be more turmoil in the future as well. And it's sad for Mora because, her father seemed to reject her, that she wasn't a son, and she thought that she found a home with the Dark Irons, and now the Dark Irons are saying things like, oh, it's a Bronzebeard whelp, it's a pretender to the throne, so some of them are rejecting her as well, and she's sort of caught between these two different cultures that, she can't really fit into.
Yep. I think especially after reading the comic as well, getting reminded, it feels more in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I feel sad.
Yeah. It's not as dramatic as the Magyar Orcs, but, it's still... the story is more interesting than it was, a week ago. As for the Magyar Orcs, a lot of people were like, how do they just magically have this shard and can go back to alternate universe Draenor? And we've learned a little bit more about this. It seems the Nightborn are helping. We go to the Nightborn and they say, oh, Elisande mastered this, but you killed her. So go to the Bronze Dragons for help with time magic. And they take us to a place that Gul'dan used to travel between worlds with the Vision of Time. And they also, just an interesting side note, they start musing about Garrosh, how, Garrosh was, I guess it reminds me of like simulations. Like, oh, put this person in a bunch of simulations and see how they perform. And it's like, oh, and in all these different versions, he performed really well. He was a great leader, the best war chief, and oh, sorry, in your timeline, he was a total waste. He was the worst.
Yeah, the exact sentence here is, what you saw here was one of his worst possible incarnations. A waste.
Yep.
That's so weird to hear. It's like, oh, so like there's different versions of people, which again comes back to the whole idea of alternate universe. It's really interesting to see that. And it's also interesting to hear this about Garrosh himself. Apparently, he was called the Horde's greatest war chief in this timeline where he was doing a lot better for the people.
And I think so. I think that's about it for the spoilers. However, right as we were talking, Blizzard released a excerpt of Before the Storm.
Just now?
Yeah, it's a little. It's just 3 pages. It's an Anduin letter. It's so basically we got this excerpt and we learned Before the Storm that Anduin realizes Azerite is a terrible threat and he wants to have some sort of peace or goodwill with the Forsaken to avoid Azerite escalating in the future, and of course that doesn't work out. But at this point, Blizzard just released the letter that Anduin sends to Sylvanas. I'm going to paste this to you, Annie, so you can actually follow along.
Okay.
So I pasted it to you in Discord. I don't know if you just want to pull it up on the screen, if you want to alternate reading it. It's only a few pages.
I'll take a look. You can continue talking about it meanwhile.
Yeah. Right. So, basically, Anduin wants to organize a meetup between the Alliance, between families that were torn apart by Arthas, and this will be a symbol of unity and a potential future that benefits both the Horde and Alliance, a single day of ceasefire. And Anduin says, you know, we will vet this to make sure that nobody will appear who is a danger to the Forsaken. They will have this in Arathi Highlands in Stromgarde Keep, which, hey, this becomes a Warfront. You know, they are going to, Anduin says, you know, I understand that if my people harm Forsaken, you will retaliate. And if you attack the Alliance, I will have to retaliate. I will guarantee safe passage to the Forsaken, though. Do not mistake this for an offer of peace. It is only an offer of a single day's compassion for people who were cruelly torn apart by a force that was neither the Horde nor Alliance. You and I have both lost family, War Chief. Let us not force that upon others who, like us, did not choose it. So, this helps sets the stage and maybe explains why when Sylvanas saw Kalia Menethil slip in, she thought that Anduin went back on his word that he would not have people there who could potentially be upsetting to her. Kalia, of course, being, you know, the sibling of Arthas.
Yeah, I just managed to open it now. It's a PDF though, so it's kind of hard to show it on stream since it's not an image. Did you read everything? I see that you read the last paragraph of it.
Oh, I was just summarizing it as you were pulling it up.
All right. All right.
Maybe we can just drop the link into.
Yeah, I think that might be better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. So this was released by Blizzard just now?
Yeah, like as we were literally just talking.
Mm-hmm. Live updates.
Yep.
Live updates. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I've got a bookmark now. I think the best thing would be to give people a link for it. I think that would be easier. All right.
So, yeah, I think we take the spoiler tag off now, and we just want to cover, we got
going on to the next topics. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the next topic here is Battle Pet currency change. You guys may have heard of the Battle Pet currency changing. I think we even mentioned it before. There's a few more updates or more information on this. We even have a screenshot this time to show you guys how it's going to look like. Right here. So as you can see, the little icons for the currency has changed to the new one. The new one is called, was it Polished Pet Charm? I believe it's called Polished Pet Charm, whereas in the old ones, the ones that you currently are holding in your bags, will turn into Shiny Pet Charms. The interesting thing with this is that, or the interesting thing to note here is that these stones, the one to level your pet to 25 and the one to turn your pets into a rare one, and a bunch of other ones as well, will start requiring the new currency. So if you're one of those people who've done a lot of pet battle world quests and pet battles in general, and you've stacked up a lot of this currency, I would suggest that you go and buy the stones that you're interested in so that you can use them on the pets that will be there in the next expansion. Because if you wait until next expansion, you will no longer be able to use your currency for these type of items. You will still be able to use them for, I think, things like pets and toys that were tied to this expansion, to Legion, that is. But you won't be able to use them on the upgrade toys or the upgrade stones.
Yeah. Also, some new things you can get with the Polished Pet Charms, which is the new one. There's a lot of vendor pets for 200 pet charms, including the Sea Breeze Bumblebee, the Drewstvar Piglet, and the Azerite Puddle.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, new toys to look forward to, or new pets and toys.
Yep. We also learned a bit about artifact updates in Battle for Azeroth. You know, we learned last week that you can still get the Mythic 15 tint in Battle for Azeroth. And today, last week, we learned that how the PvP appearance tints are changing. Previously, the first tint was Prestige 2, then 7, 12, 16, but with Prestige not being a thing and all the levels recalibrated to honor levels, the BFA requirements are 10, 30, 50, and 80. And one of the tints for the class hall appearance that required you to unlock all artifact traits for your tint, you just need to now complete the class hall campaign, and you will get the base appearance as well as this other tint.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense. I mean, you don't have your artifact weapon anymore, so how are you supposed to fill up your traits? So instead of needing to farm that part, you will get all of them. Get all the tints, that is, since you would already get the base tint.
Yep.
So that's cool.
And for our final Battle for Azeroth update, Borealis has received more zone updates. I think it's really cool how they keep building it every build. Like Zandalari, Zuldazar is almost like, boom, here it is. It's nice and golden pretty. But for Borealis, it's sort of kind of... You've been really seeing it like a sandbox, and it gets built up. Like every week there's something new and exciting. And this week had some really fun personal updates. I keep saying how it's to be a really fun place to live. And this week added a cake shop, as well as a tea party with stuffed animals in the Proudmoore Keep garden, and some other fun things.
Mm-hmm. Going through some of the cake shop slides that we have here. So what you can see here is little, pieces of cake and cupcakes just being around on different tables and just making the house look very cozy. And yeah, here you can see the big cake on the table as well. And as Perk mentioned, there was also a garden that has been updated, and here is the garden. So there's a lot more green. Was the tea party at the garden too?
Yeah, there should be one where there is like some children, and then there's a Murloc and an Elec plushie and a puppy. And it's just nice little details like that. There's adults having wine and cheese. There is a hedge maze. There's even some paintings. Like there's a little artist that set up a studio by looking out onto the sea and playing. So yeah.
I think Blizzard definitely tried to use Borealis as a place for people to feel that it's a very, realistic and very similar to the kind of living conditions that we kind of are more used to as actual humans. So it feels, I guess, more to heart for people. A bit less fancy, a bit more human, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So they're making it pretty cozy.
Yeah, there's still a few things to update. For example, the banker is in a building, but he doesn't really have any stuff around him, but it's really coming together. So, we also talked about, I think, Mariner's Row, and that has gotten some updates in the post. There's a lot of buildings, like more buildings have pictures and doodads and furniture in them. There is a Kulturas memorial for Lord Proudmoore, obviously by his keep, which we didn't have before, so that's cool. The statues on the main riverway are actual statues now. I think when we showed them last time, they were sort of these weird gray things, but now they have textures on them, so they look, you know, pretty foreboding. And
it's a big city.
Yeah.
Like there's like every little part of it is getting updates all the time.
Yeah, it's a really fun, homey city. I enjoy hanging out there.
Pretty cool to see all the updates.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that actually covers all the beta updates for today.
Yeah, there's not really much live news going on, so we don't really have a live news section, but before we answer some questions and wrap it up, I just want to highlight some Wowhead community things going on. For example, we have an artist quarter featuring the leatherworking crafts of Suchi Kuchi, I think that's how you pronounce it. She does really cool, like, Alliance and Horde, you know, wallets, really cool cuffs, even like a dog collar that says for the Horde. So check that out. The link is in the Wowhead announcement and also the front page. We also are giving away a few beta keys in the WoW Economy Weekly Wrap-Up that Gumdrops is doing. We had another Mythic Plus Q&A with Shakib. We do a lot with J.B, but he's a healer, so we're trying to mix it up and do Q&As with people that play other roles. We've also launched some more general purpose guides. For example, yesterday we launched a WoW Discord Community Spotlight Guide. If you're watching right now, you know, you probably know what Discord is, but if you maybe had a friend that quit before Legion, they might not know what Discord is, so we try to highlight all the cool stuff going on. And then finally, do we want to highlight the beta key winners now? Again?
Yeah, why not? So just as a reminder, we had a beta key giveaway last week. What we required of you was to take a screenshot of yourself on your favorite mount and post it with a specific, almost a transmog, with a specific transmog. No, you could go with any transmog, with a specific hashtag and tag us so that we could see it. And we have drawn 5 random winners. And the 5 winners are Dylan Carey, Revisioned, Mayotroxa, Lichlings, and Erisike EU. If you're not here, don't worry. We will send a tweet out to make sure that you guys are contacted properly. I'll throw a tweet out straight afterwards with the people. Hopefully they notice me. If they're following me, it should be easy. If they're not following me, might be a little bit more extra work, but you know, we'll find them. We'll find them and get the key to the right people. And congrats to you guys. And thank you to everyone else who also was or took part in the giveaway. I saw a lot of fun
pictures.
Yeah. Did you notice that in your feed as well? Like so many mounts.
I'm so proud of this mount.
So there was so many mounts. It was really lovely to see, actually.
Yeah.
People being active, people telling their little stories, or just sharing the picture of their favorite mount. It was awesome.
Yeah. I do want to address a few questions quickly. Some things people ask, we sort of answer them in the show, but just to clarify a few things, Aegis2566 wants to clarify if we unlock all the PvP appearances now, yes, you keep them in BFA, you do not need to farm them again. Tomato says, is there a comprehensive list of all the things being removed in BFA on Wowhead, like First Aid, Astra, and Temporary? There is, and we actually have this permanently linked on the front page. If you go to that Today in Broken Isle section, at the bottom right of that, it will say what to do before battle for Azeroth, and that is always updated. For example, we updated it last week about the Mythic 15 tint changes. Ninwa says, for current allied races that we have access to now, will they be removing rep requirements? We do not know anything about this.
Probably not anytime soon. Maybe in the future.
Yeah, but they haven't said anything about that. I think they made it easier to get the reputation, but I think it would be unfair if they just removed it outright.
It wouldn't even make sense if they removed it, because then like you don't know anything about the faction. But I could see them making it easier to get the reputation though.
Yeah. And let's see.
Oh, Heavy Harper, congratulations. Apparently Heavy Harper was the winner of the giveaway that was going on during the show, so congratulations for that.
Yeah. I think that's about it as far as questions.
All right.
So as a reminder, Sass has been trying to write down the timestamps when we discussed every topic, and we will be, putting this up on YouTube, hopefully with a list of timestamps soon.
So this will be the first time that we're attempting timestamps. Hopefully everything goes well, and keep giving us feedback. Keep giving us feedback. We'll do our best to help you guys. I remember someone asking for subtitles. That's probably not going to be possible.
Yeah, not sure about that one.
Like an hour or two of a podcast of subtitles will take the person who writes the subtitles, at least 4 or 5 times the time of the show to actually type everything down. So, probably no subtitles. We can try to speak a little bit clearer and also add the timestamps, though. So that's something we can do.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe that actually wraps up everything, unless we have any more questions.
No, I think we're good.
All right. In that case, does Brightpaw want to say anything? Does he want to wave?
Where is he? No, he's in the other room. He's staring at me from the hallway. So, yeah.
Well, in that case, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Hopefully you found out something that interests you, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. Actually, speaking of next week, next week is not going to be a show for the same reason as today's show being today and not tomorrow. So normally we have this show on Thursdays. This time we had it on Wednesday because I'm actually traveling. I'm traveling tomorrow morning, very early. I'm actually traveling in 7 hours. I'm traveling in 7 hours. I'm going to the US of A, and I'll be attending DreamHack Austin. So I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be a tough travel because traveling overseas takes a lot of hours. I think, including the layovers, my trip is gonna be 16 hours or something, maybe even 20. I'm not sure exactly. So it's gonna be a bit of a travel, but I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun, and I can't wait to meet all the people who will be there as well. But so this is the reason why.
An event.
Yeah, so I'm going to be hosting a stage event for Fortnite, but that's actually going to be another DreamHack. So a lot of people have been confused about that. No, it's okay. It was my bad for announcing both on the same day. So basically, I'm going to be hosting for a Fortnite tournament, but that's at DreamHack Summer. So that's in 2.5 weeks-ish at the Swedish DreamHack. So it's 2 different events, but still both at DreamHack. So very confusing, I know. It was my bad for mentioning at the same time. But so DreamHack Austin, a reason for today's show being on a different date. Also a reason for next week, probably not going to have a show. We'll keep you guys posted on Twitter, but most likely we'll see you guys in 2 weeks instead. And at that point, it should be on schedule on the Thursday.
Yeah.
So that's the update on what is happening at the moment. There's going to be quite a bit of traveling this summer. For me, at least. I'm not sure how it is for Perk. There's lots of events going on, and like Gamescom will probably be in the way at some point as well. But we'll try and keep this as regular as we can, because I think, the point of weekly news is to be able to update you guys on a weekly basis. So, we try to adapt as much as we can to, try and give you all the news. So that it's not like Wowhead Weekly, but, we'll give you last month's update instead. Yeah, so that's what we're working on. But thank you everyone for watching and supporting, all the subs, all the resubs. I believe I saw some bits as well being thrown. Thank you guys very much for that. For those of you guys who are sitting and watching on Wowhead front page, hello to you guys too. Don't be afraid to join us on Twitch if you want to. If you don't want to, that's okay. You can hang out on the WoW front page, or Wowhead front page even. That is 100% fine. Shout out to you guys who actually make use of the subscription of Wowhead Premium as well on the website. If you're not sure what that is, Wowhead Premium is a subscription which allows you to remove all the ads, or which just removes all the ads for you on Wowhead's website, and also gives you your own color when you're typing in the forums, and also a bunch of other little small cool perks on the website. And other than that, I believe that is it for us tonight.
Yeah,
I think Pepe's gonna say hi as well. Have a great weekend, guys, and or have a great week even after that, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, Ninja Pepe just made a random appearance.
Oh, awesome. Let's see. Can I grab mine? I got a Pirate Pepe. There we go.
Oh,
Pirate
okay.
Pepe.
Ninja and Pirate. Okay, I'm gonna hold my Ninja Pepe here. Can you hold yours a bit higher up and then to the right?
This right?
Lower? Yes. Lower?
That's right.
Perfect. Wait, up a bit more. To the right. Perfect. Okay.
Awesome.
The Pepes are looking at each other and they're happy.
Yeah.
Super happy.
Yeah, they are happy.
Yeah. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you very much for
Bye.
watching. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yep. Bye.